ऑलराइट, चलिए शुरू करें। चलिए, तो बच्चा सबसे वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग कि जेनेटिक डिजीज एक्चुअली होता क्या है। वी मे हैव डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ डिजीजेस, सम आर पैथोजेनिक डिजीजेस, सम आर लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस एंड वी मे हैव जेनेटिक डिजीजेस एज वेल। तो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज जेनेटिक डिजीज, इस वर्ड से ही आपको समझ में आएगा। जेनेटिक मतलब कहीं ना कहीं देयर इज इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ जीन, है ना। एंड आपको पता है व्हेन जीन इज एक्सप्रेस्ड, आपको पता है व्हेन जीन इज एक्सप्रेस्ड it forms a protein, right? It forms a protein and this protein do the function, right? And this protein do the function. So now if there is any change in the gene, now if there is any change in the gene, it might be the gene will be expressed, and if the gene is expressed, we will be having a protein, but this protein will be non-functional, right? This will be non-functional. And this non-functional protein will cause the disease. Are you getting my point? This non-functional protein will now cause the disease. I hope my disease spelling is correct. So the thing is that genetic diseases are the diseases that happens to just because of change in the gene sequence. है ना? Genes when expressed gives the protein and this protein used to function. जो आपके शरीर में कुछ functions हो रहे हैं, that function is being done by protein only. लेकिन अगर हम उस जीन के अंदर में इफ ड्यू टू सम रीजंस, द मेन रीजन इज म्यूटेशन, द मेन रीजन इज म्यूटेशन एंड दिस म्यूटेशन changes the gene sequence, and if the gene sequence is changed it may get expressed or may not. ये एक्सप्रेस भी कर सकता है और एक्सप्रेस नहीं भी हो सकता है। अगर एक्सप्रेस नहीं होता है तो बात ही खत्म हो गई। अगर वो एक्सप्रेस हो भी जाता है, इन दैट केस जो प्रोटीन बनेगा दैट विल बी नॉन फंक्शनल प्रोटीन. In that case, our जो main intention to get the function done will not be done, right? So in that case क्या होगा? That non-functional gene or inexpression of that gene will cause that disease, and such type of disease is known as genetic disease. Now these genetic diseases can be of basically two types, and as you know that genes are found on, genes कहाँ मिलता है? It's on in the chromosome or on the DNA, right? So genetic diseases happens to be. So basically you have got the point कि if there will be any kind of change, अगर कोई भी चेंज हो जाए या कोई भी बदलाव हो जाए जीन के अंदर में जिसकी वजह से कोई फंक्शनल प्रोटीन ना बने या फिर वो जीन ही एक्सप्रेस ना हो, तो इन दैट केस वो बीमारी कौन सी होगी? जेनेटिक डिजीज होगी. इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? ये क्लियर है आपके लिए. अब वो जीन जिसके अंदर में म्यूटेशन हो गई, जिसकी वजह से वो जीन नॉन फंक्शनल हो गया, या फिर वो जीन एक्सप्रेस होने के बाद भी जो प्रोटीन बनी वो भी नॉन फंक्शनल रही, तो वो जीन की लोकेशन कहां पर है उसके बिहाफ पर वी क्लासिफाई जेनेटिक डिजीजेस इनटू टू टाइप्स. वन इज ऑटोसोमल एंड वन इज एक्स लिंक्ड और सेक्स लिंक्ड. Are you getting my point or not? So the gene, if it is located in autosomes and if the gene has been changed, the sequence of the gene has been changed and it is causing disease, such disease will be known as autosomal genetic disease. Is that clear? And if the gene is located on X chromosome or the sex-linked chromosome, in that case, that genetic disease will be known as X-linked genetic disease. Is that clear or not? So now, one more thing I want to add over here. Either it is autosomal or it may be X-linked, right? We have two types of genetic diseases. One, the genes, the change in the gene, the changed gene is located on autosomes. And how many autosomes do we have? In total, we have 22 pairs, right? We have 22 pairs. And each pair is having, considering the each pair, one is paternal, one is maternal, right? If both the genes, one is paternal, that one chromosome you have received from your father, one chromosome you have received from your mother, and if the father gene is also mutated and mother's gene is also mutated, I'm considering this as father and this as a mother's gene, and if both the genes are mutated, in this case the disease will be happening, right? है ना. And another case if I'm taking, अगर मैं एक दूसरा केस लूं बच्चा कि एक जगह पर हेल्दी जीन आ रहा है और दूसरी जगह पर अनहेल्दी जीन आ रहा है, दैट मींस म्यूटेटेड जीन आ रहा है. फादर से आपको हेल्दी जीन मिला, नॉर्मल जीन मिला, और मदर से आपको म्यूटेटेड जीन मिला. इन दैट केस अगर डिजीज हो गई, तो ये जो डिजीज होगा, ये जो जेनेटिक डिजीज होगा वो डोमिनेंट होगा. मतलब उसकी एक सिंगल कॉपी भी आ जाएगी तो डिजीज होगी. आपने डोमिनेंसी और रेसेसिविटी तो पढ़ा है ना. डोमिनेंसी के केस में एक सिंगल जीन भी प्रेजेंट होगा, तो इन दैट केस डिजीज विल हैपन। और अगर रेसेसिव का केस होगा, अगर कोई भी जीन रेसेसिव होगा तो इन दैट केस उसको अल्टीमेटली होमोजाइगस कंडीशन पर आना पड़ेगा, तभी वो एक्सप्रेस कर पाएगा, तभी वो डिजीज कॉज कर पाएगा। इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? सो इसी बिहाफ पर हम ऑटोसोमल जेनेटिक डिजीज हो चाहे एक्स लिंक्ड जेनेटिक डिजीज हो, वी क्लासिफाइड इट इनटू टू पार्ट्स, ऑटोसोमल डोमिनेंट, ऑटोसोमल रिसेसिव, एक्स लिंक्ड डोमिनेंट एंड एक्स लिंक्ड। इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट और नॉट? व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट कि बच्चे कभी कोई भी जेनेटिक डिजीज होगी तो देयर इज अ चेंज इन द सीक्वेंस ऑफ जीन, राइट? And if that gene is located on autosomes, it will be called as autosomal genetic disorders. And if that gene is present on the X chromosome, it will be known as X-linked genetic disorder. Is that clear or not? Now the second phase comes. अब दूसरी बात ये आती है कि क्या वो सिंगल कॉपी, इफ म्यूटेटेड जीन है बच्चा, दैट म्यूटेटेड जीन कॉजेज द डिजीज। क्यों? वो मैंने पहले आपको बता दिया कि अगर वो जीन म्यूटेटेड है तो या तो वो एक्सप्रेस नहीं करेगा या एक्सप्रेस करेगा भी तो फंक्शनल प्रोटीन नहीं बनाएगा। यहां तक तो बात समझ में आ रही है? अब नाउ क्या उस एक सिंगल कॉपी ऑफ म्यूटेटेड जीन की वजह से बीमारी हो जा रही है या दो लगने पर बीमारी हो रही है? सिंगल कॉपी भी प्रेजेंट है और डिजीज हैपन हो रहा है, इन दैट केस इट विल बी डोमिनेंट। एंड इफ बोथ लाइक टू जीन्स आर रिक्वायर्ड and then disease is happening, in that case it will be recessive. So genetic disease can be of autosomal, it can be X-linked. Now this autosomal and X-linked can be dominant as well as recessive. So autosomal, so autosomes, if the gene is located on autosomes, we can say it's autosomal genetic disorder. We can say it as autosomal genetic disorder, and it also of two type. Either it may be dominant, and either it may be recessive. I hope this is the basic concept you should understand. Unless you will understand it, you are not going to understand the pedigree. So to understand pedigree, to analyze pedigree on the better extent, you need to understand the genetic disease. Is that clear or not? Now, so similarly, we may have X-linked genetic disorder. X-linked genetic disorder. This may also be dominant, or it may be recessive. So at the molecular biology extent, you can analyze any gene can be dominant or it can be recessive. If a single copy is there and it's causing disease, it will be a dominant one. And if two copies are required, then in that case, it will be recessive. Now, so in total, we may have 4 types of genetic disorders: autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, and X-linked. Can we maybe have some examples for that? So considering the autosomal dominant, do you have any ideas? There is something mentioned on your NCERT book as well. Yes. Do you know that? Like, can you give me an example of autosomal dominant genetic disorder? Myotonic muscular dystrophy. This is mentioned on your book. है ना? Myotonic muscular dystrophy. I'll use the different color over here. Dominant के लिए myotonic muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy. We may have some more, but since this is mentioned in your NCERT, so we will be considering this. This is myotonic muscular dystrophy, is actually a autosomal dominant genetic disorder. It's a genetic disease. You got my point? So next is, can you give me some examples of autosomal recessive genetic disorders? We have lots of in our NCERT book. First one is phenylketonuria, thalassemia, as well as what I'm talking about the NCERT book only, the sickle cell anemia. 3 examples we have as per the NCERT, that is autosomal recessive genetic disorders, right? The very first one is sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia. And second, I'll write it down over here. The second one is, you can write down phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria. And I hope you might have gone through the phenylketonuria in the case of pleiotropy. Have you studied pleiotropy and polygenic inheritance? There are genic interactions. Pleiotropy and polygenic inheritance and epistasis. These are some genic interactions. Genes interact within themselves. So phenylketonuria is also an example of pleiotropy, where you know that single gene is capable of controlling multiple factors. Is that clear or not? Characters actually. है ना? The third one is sickle cell anemia, thalassemia. These are the 3 examples of autosomal recessive genetic disorders. You may be asked, आपसे ये सवाल पूछे जा सकते हैं, which of the following is a dominant, which is recessive, which is autosomal, which is recessive. You should be aware of that. और NCERT में जो भी आपके पास जो diseases mention की गई हैं वो सब के सब recessive हैं. Nothing is dominant. एक भी dominant का example नहीं दिया गया. Dominant के लिए सिर्फ एक pedigree बना करके दिखाई गई है, that is of myotonic muscular dystrophy, which is autosomal dominant recessive, autosomal genetic disorder. So now considering the X-linked dominant, can you give me an example of X-linked dominant genetic disorder? Rett syndrome. It happens to be in women only. Rett syndrome. ये Rett syndrome आपको सिर्फ ह्यूमन फीमेल में देखने को मिलेगा. And you have any recessive disorders mentioned in your NCERT? NCERT में है आपके पास? हाँ बच्चा? नहीं, I'm talking about X-linked genetic disorder, है ना? Which is recessive. Color blindness. Color blindness. We have hemophilia. We have hemophilia. And any other example which NCERT gives? Any other example? Color blindness and hemophilia. These are the two examples which is given in the NCERT. Is that clear or not? So until now we have gone through what is genetic disease, what actually happens when it causes the genetic disease. So now genetic disease is of two types. First of all, on the basis of their location, on which chromosome it is located. Either it is located on autosomes or it may be located on X chromosome. Because we have 46 chromosomes. So every chromosome is having certain number of genes onto them. And if that gene is mutated, that may cause the disease. Right? So this is genetic disorder. And the mutated gene is located in autosome, that will be autosomal genetic disorder. And if it is located on X chromosome, then it will be known as X-linked genetic disorders. Now, I've already updated you that if the single copy is causing disease, that will be dominant. If the two copies are required to cause the disease, is recessive. In that case, we got four types of diseases, four types of genetic diseases: autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive. So we got some examples. Now, the next thing which I am going to teach you, अब जो मैं आपको अगली चीज बताने जा रहा हूं बच्चा, कि we have a family tree. That family tree is known as pedigree. You know pedigree? वो जो डॉग को फीड कराते हैं, जो अभी आ भी गया था, वो नहीं है. एक्चुअली पेडिग्री इज अ फैमिली ट्री बच्चा. इस फैमिली ट्री की खास बात ये होती है, देयर आर सम सिंबल्स इन विच आर यूज्ड टू रिप्रेजेंट, है ना, इन पेडिग्री. पेडिग्री इज एक्चुअली फैमिली ट्री, राइट. और इस फैमिली ट्री में एक्चुअली हम लोग नाम नहीं मेंशन करते हैं. एक्चुअली किसी डिजीज का, हर डिजीज का अपना अपना एक पेडिग्री होता है. फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल कंसिडर कीजिए कि कलर ब्लाइंडनेस है. कलर ब्लाइंडनेस इज एक्स लिंक्ड, राइट. Color blindness is an X-linked. It is a recessive genetic disorder. So, since it's a genetic disorder, to trace the genetic disorder, है ना, we make a family tree, so that we can trace कि अगले किस बच्चे में chances है कि इनका color blindness हो सकता है. So this is how we make pedigree. अब now we will get on to the pedigree. अब next, in order to maintain this genetic disorder, to track these genetic disorders, है ना, we make pedigree. We make pedigree, right? And this pedigree is actually a family tree, bachcha. This pedigree is actually a family tree and it has different symbols. अगर हम बात करते हैं बच्चा, एक स्क्वायर बना हुआ होगा, तो that represents a male. And if a square is half filled, or it can be represented as a dot inside it, then it is carrier male. Carrier male. In this case, if a circle is represented, it is female. And if a circle is half colored or a center, a dot into the center, is carrier female. Is carrier female. These are the representations. Now, the next thing is that if the square is completely darkened, in this case, it is affected. Affected from genetic disease. Affected from genetic disease. So affected male we can say, and in this case we can say it is affected female, right? And there is also another gender which is represented like this. This is gender unidentified. Then in the case you won't be able to identify the gender in the fetal conditions. While the baby is still inside her mother's womb, you cannot identify his gender, his or her gender. है ना. So in that case we will be mentioning the gender unidentified. Gender unidentified, right? So now, so male and female ka representation we got. Now some relations, right? So this is the case of marriage, right? Marriage, and this is the case of marriage between close relative. Marriage between close relative. Is that clear? These are some symbols that are being used in pedigree. Pedigrees are a family tree to track genetic disorders, right? So अब now since शादी हो गई है तो there may be some kids as well. So in that case, if this is the case of twins, but what kind of twin? If it both are female and it may be both male, then it is monozygotic twins. These are twins. We will write twins. And now, as we know that there are two types of twins, monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. What is difference between monozygotic and dizygotic twins? That means a single zygote once divides and forms two different individuals, but their genetic makeup will be 100% similar because they both have developed from a single cell. So they will be having similar genetic makeup. So they are identical twins. And once identical twin, देखिए identical twins की खास बात होती है, अगर लड़का है तो अगला वाला भी लड़का ही होगा. And एक लड़का एक लड़की है, they are certainly not identical twins. They are non-identical twins. They are dizygotic twins. We can say that they पैदा एक साथ हुए हैं, but they have developed from two different zygotes. And अगर monozygotic twins will be, they both have developed from a single zygote cells. That zygote cell has divided into two, and that two cells has formed the two different individuals. This is monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. This is twins. This is the case of twins. And another one is, this is the case of siblings. You know what is siblings? Yes. What is difference between siblings and cousins? Siblings are blood relations. Cousins are non-blood relations, but they are relations. Is that clear or not? So now we will make a pedigree, and how to identify a pedigree, whether it is autosomal. I'm going to give you some tricks and you should write it down. देखिए, we got 4 types of diseases and we may have pedigree for all different 4 diseases. So how to identify that this pedigree is autosomal or X-linked? First question arises over here. किसी भी पेडिग्री को जब आप देखोगे, when you are trying to identify a pedigree, पता लगाओ कि ये कौन सी पेडिग्री है, तो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आपके जहन में आएगा कि either, of course, pedigree shows the genetic disorder, the flow of genetic disorder in a family tree, right? तो अगर आप जब भी पेडिग्री को देखोगे तो डिग्री को आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन आएगा, क्या ये पेडिग्री ऑटोसोमल है या फिर के एक्स लिंक्ड है? बहुत ध्यान से सुनिएगा. किसी भी पेडिग्री को अगर आपको पता लगाना है कि वो ऑटोसोमल है या एक्स लिंक्ड है, तो मैं आपको बताता हूं, अगर वो ऑटोसोमल है तो देयर विल बी इक्वली अफेक्टेड मेल एंड फीमेल. बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल विल बी इक्वली अफेक्टेड. समहाउ थोड़ा वेरिएशन हो सकता है, बट until and unless we will consider it and equally affected. ये बात आपको समझ में आ रही है? If the disease is autosomal, it will affect male and female. Is that clear or not? So if you are going through a pedigree, if you are seeing that both male and females are being affected, then you can first conclude that this pedigree is an autosomal one. It's a genetic disease, but it's an autosomal genetic disease pedigree. First thing to be cleared. Is that clear or not? To identify any pedigree, is either it is autosomal or it is X-linked. You need to first look onto that. If both the male and female are equally affected, this case will be of autosomal. And if more male are affected, if more males are affected, in that case, that disease will be X-linked. I'll write it down. You please note it down. If the disease, if the pedigree is of, first one is autosomal. First you need to identify whether it is autosomal or genetic X-linked. So autosomal, both male and female will be equally affected. Both male and female equally affected होंगे. I'm writing equally, मतलब आप ये भी समझ जाइए कि एक दो आगे पीछे हो तो भी आप कंसिडर कर लीजिए. है ना, एग्जैक्टली प्रिसाइजली ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, बट आई एम सेइंग कि बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल आर अफेक्टेड। ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ मेल को हो रहा है फीमेल को हो रहा है, बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल आर बीइंग अफेक्टेड। और दूसरी तरफ बच्चा, अगर ये एक्स लिंक्ड डिजीज है, अगर ये एक्स लिंक्ड की पेडिग्री आप देख रहे हैं, तो इन दैट केस मोर मेल्स आर अफेक्टेड, मोर मेल्स आर अफेक्टेड। अगर आप किसी पेडिग्री को गो थ्रू कर रहे हैं एंड यू आर फाइंडिंग कि ज्यादातर कौन अफेक्टेड है, मेल्स अफेक्टेड है, तो आप क्या कंक्लूड करेंगे? दिस इज a X-linked genetic disorder. Now the next question arises, either it is dominant or recessive. Now either it is autosomal or X-linked. If it is dominant, how you will identify that disease is dominant? The dominant disease never skips generation. Dominant disease never skips generation. In every generation it will cause disease. So dominant never skips generations. Skips generation. Never skips generation. If the disease is happening in every generation, that disease will be dominant disease. And if you want to identify that pedigree is recessive, then you have to look if the disease is skipping the generation, it will be skips generation. It skips generation. I hope clear. So first of all, we have gone through genetic disease, the types of genetic disease, and then further types. Autosomal, if it is, it may be dominant or it may be recessive. So I'm giving you a pedigree right now. I'm showing you a pedigree right now. You need to identify whether it is autosomal or it will be X-linked, whether it is dominant or it will be a recessive. So let me show you two examples we have, two diagrams, two pedigrees we have. I'll give you some more time. Please look into this and please give me an answer. The first one, this is a pedigree chart. And please answer me. I hope you can see it properly. देखिए बच्चा, इसके अंदर में you have a female which is a carrier and they are normal one. These are normal males. Please look into this. And the green one, deep green one is the hemophilic male. So in the first case, first you need to tell me whether it is autosomal or it is a X-linked. First you need to understand. See. So you need to look कि सबसे पहले लाइक हेमोफिलिक फीमेल आपको कहीं दिख रही है? कैरियर फीमेल तो दिख रही हैं, कैरियर फीमेल्स बहुत सारी दिख रही हैं, हेमोफिलिक मेल जरूर दिख रहा है। और मैं आपको पहले ही अभी बता चुका हूं कि हेमोफिलिया इज अ X-linked genetic disorder. नहीं, आर यू श्योर हेमोफिलिया इज एन X-linked? इट्स एन ऑटोसोमल, आई एम सो सॉरी, X-linked. बहुत बढ़िया, X-linked. सो नाउ कि यू आर फाइंडिंग कि विच वन इज मोर अफेक्टेड, ज्यादा कौन अफेक्टेड है? मेल अफेक्टेड है। यहां पे भी मेल अफेक्टेड है और कहीं आपको मेल अफेक्टेड दिख रहे हैं? नहीं दिख रहे हैं। तो यहां पर आपको ज्यादातर कौन देखने को अफेक्टेड मिल रहा है? मेल दिख रहा है। सो फर्स्ट कंक्लूजन तो यही है कि ये X-linked है। फर्स्ट कंक्लूजन तो ये है कि ये X-linked है। अब नेक्स्ट कंक्लूजन हम निकालने जा रहे हैं कि ये डोमिनेंट है या रेसेसिव है। आप देखिए, फर्स्ट जनरेशन में डिजीज है, सेकेंड जनरेशन में डिजीज है, थर्ड जनरेशन डिजीज है, तो इस जनरेशन स्किप हुई। फर्स्ट जनरेशन में नहीं था, सेकेंड जनरेशन में है, थर्ड जनरेशन में नहीं है, तो इट इज ए स्किपिंग जनरेशन, देन इट मस्ट बी, तो इट इज X-linked recessive. And I have already told you that hemophilia is a X-linked recessive disorder. Is that clear or not? First of all, you need to look to analyze any pedigree. You know, आपको पता है ये जो pedigree analysis है ना बच्चा ना, ये I have seen बहुत सारे different organizations के हमने क्वेश्चंस में इसको फाइंड आउट किया है, एंड वी हैव सीन इन लाइक बहुत कम आता है आई थिंक नीट के अंदर में, बट इसका सिग्निफिकेंस बहुत ज़्यादा है ना। क्वेश्चंस कैसे आते हैं नीट में, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ। अच्छा, वो ज़्यादातर क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, द फॉलोइंग इज द जेनेटिक रेसेसिव, व्हिच इज रेसेसिव, व्हिच इज ऑटोसोमल, व्हिच इज X-linked, इस तरह से वो क्वेश्चन करेंगे। इन मैनी ऑफ द चांसेस पेडिग्री भी दे सकते हैं आपको। पिछले कई सालों में हमने देखा है कि कुछ कुछ पेडिग्री के क्वेश्चन आए हैं। आई होप आप भी इसको देखे होंगे। नेक्स्ट वाला आप देखिए, इसमें आप देखिए, यहाँ पर पहले समझने की कोशिश कीजिए कि जो रेड कलर आ रहा है बच्चा, दैट इज अफेक्टेड। बस ये बात आप ध्यान रखिएगा। नाउ लुक इनटू दिस, आप इसको ध्यान से देखिए और मुझे बताइए, क्या बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल आर बीइंग अफेक्टेड? ओवर हियर इज मेल अफेक्टेड, ओवर हियर इज फीमेल अफेक्टेड, right? Over here is female affected, that both male and female are being affected. Then in this case, what kind of pedigree it is? Autosomal. Now the next question arises कि first generation is having the disease, Second generation is having the disease or not? Yes, they have. Third generation is having the disease or not? Fourth generation is having the disease or not? All the generations are having the disease. So it is dominant. So this is autosomal. I hope you have understood a very small part of principle of inheritance and variation. After understanding mutation, we have gone through genetic disease, we have gone through the types of genetic disease, and we have understood how to analyze any kind of pedigree. Is that clear or not? So the next thing we are going to study and discuss some of the diseases. The first we will study and discuss X-linked recessive diseases, which is mentioned in your NCERT, that is color blindness and hemophilia. And then we will go into autosomal recessive, that means phenylketonuria, thalassemia, as well as sickle cell anemia. All right. Thank you.